Welcome to the MLFF podcast with your host, Commissioner B. Jack.
Hi, welcome in to the Major League Fantasy Football podcast. Week 1 is in the books, so we will get into our first weekly review and we'll recap last week's matchups. You'll see that league and payout standings are included in the weekly review, and I'm hoping to include some basic news and league roster transactions. I'm hoping to have a cleaned up version of that ready for next week. But for now, let's do it.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
In our first matchup, Spencer defeats Timmy by 18 points. This is surprisingly the narrowest victory in Week 1, thanks largely to Devonta Smith laying an egg. Mahomes put up 45, making him the QB1 on the week. Keeping Chase over Kamara looking like the right move so far. Timmy had 20 points from AJ Dildo on the bench, but it would not have changed the outcome. Timmy falls to 7th place, Spencer moves to 2nd, and now leads the North Division. Jose beat Dantos by an 18-point margin. Jose set the most optimal lineup this week at 95.2%, on the backs of Swift and Gabe Dave, who combined for 47 points. Josh Allen put up 40. But it wasn't enough to keep Dantos on top of his brother. That sounds gay. Jose lands at 6th place through his first week, and Dantos fell to 9th. I defeated Rhino.
I'm Ron Burgundy?
By 27 points, because of course I did. 1 point from Dawson's Creek and 5 out of Eli Mitchell, who sprained his knee in the fucking tsunami that hit Chicago this weekend. Did not help Rhino in his cause here. Don't ask me why Rhino benched his stud keeper running back. Speaking of stud running backs, if you thought Quan Bark would be the running back 1 on the week, then you're a fucking liar. The aforementioned tsunami shall also be blamed for Darnell Mooney's 1.3 point performance. After the win, I climbed to 3rd place, and now leading the West Division, and Rhino falls to 8th. T-Bear defeats Jake by 31 points. Justin Jefferson went off. He put up 38, and that's good for the wide receiver 1 in the week. The Packers look like shit, and A-Raj fucked Jake real good. I'm sure they'll look like an entirely different team once Alan Lazard gets back. Jake settles into 10th place, while T-Bear lands at 4th and now leads the South Division. Ben destroyed John. In beating him this week, Ben put up the most points on the week, landing him in 1st place heading into Week 2.
Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Optimal lineup, nearly 30 points higher, thanks mostly to James Cook, who rushed once for 2 yards, then fumbled and was promptly benched. Never came back. Everybody in John's lineup besides Lamar, Protestant McCaffrey, and the Sun God underperformed. Ben also claims 1st in the East Division, and John falls to 11th place. The 68-point margin was nearly blowout of the week, if not for Cody beating Gardo. This is the blowout of the week, and obviously after 1 week, the blowout of the year. 72 points. That's the 23rd largest blowout all time since 2017. If Cody only played Devontae Adams and Michael Pittman, he would have barely lost by less than 2 points. Cody's only real blemish was Mike Dave with 1.6. Gardo scored the least points this week and left points on the bench, but it definitely would not have mattered. He set the least optimal lineup on the week at 56%. A lot of disappointment, but especially from Dak, Cam Akers, and the Panthers defense. I don't know what the hell happened with Cam Akers, but they said he was ready. I guess not. Not to pile on, but it was also the 2nd worst performance all time since 2017. When reached for comment, Gardo issued the following statement.
I shot myself!
Gardo lands in last place, and Cody moves to 5th. Cody now leads the blowout of the year, most blowouts, and league pick'em payouts. In all games this week, none of the teams that lost would have won if they had played their optimal lineups, which I thought was an interesting stat. Our first preview, 0-1 Rhino versus 0-1 Gardo. This is a North Divisional matchup. Rhino is 4-2 versus Gardo since 2017 and the favorite in this match. Gardo has not subbed out Dak for Stafford yet, though, which should narrow the margin from 32 points. Week 4 of last year, Gardo smoked Rhino by nearly 50 points, but can't afford another performance like last week. 1-0 Ben versus 0-1 Jake. This is an East Divisional matchup. Ben is 1-0 against Jake all time and a 16-point favorite this week. Their only meeting was week 4 of last year where Ben won by 46. Jake's not in a great position for a bounce back here, but I think he may want to fit James Robinson into his lineup. 1-0 T-Bear versus 0-1 Timmy. This is a South Divisional matchup. Timmy is 1-4 against T-Bear since 2017 and a 16-point underdog against him this week. Timmy's lone victory came last year in Week 8, winning by 43 points, but T-Bear may be poised for vengeance with no real weak matchups. Keenan Allen's out and Chris Godwin is a question mark, so this margin will likely change once substitutions have been made. 1-0 me versus 1-0 Cody. This is a West Divisional matchup. Now, I am confident in my spreadsheet abilities, but this 2-6 record against Cody really has me questioning everything. Clearly there's an error in my spreadsheet somewhere. The data's not good. I don't know what it is. I'll figure it out. Cody and I last faced off in week 1 of the playoffs last year as the 2 top scoring teams on the season, where Cody narrowly won out on the coattails of Travis Kelce and his 40-point performance on fucking Thursday night. With the division on the line and the only matchup with both teams undefeated, even though it's only 1-0, this is the game of the week. I promise you, I'm not just choosing games that I'm in. I'm just really good. I'm a 9-point favorite, and payback's a bitch, Cody. 1-0 Jose versus 0-1 John. John is surprisingly 6-1 against Jose since 2017. Maybe not surprisingly. They both suck. Those 6 wins must account for about half of all of John's wins since 2017. Jose's only win against John came in the second round of the consolation bracket, week 16 of last year, where Jose won by less than 4 points. And yeah, this matchup just smells like shit. 0-1 Dantos versus 1-0 Spencer. With a margin of almost half a point, we have our tightest projected margin this week. Spencer leads with 4 wins to 3, and having won their last matchup in week 17 of last season, which clinched 3rd place for Spencer last year and won him his money back. Mahomes looks fine without Tyreek, by the way. If Henry keeps losing touches to Hilliard, then Dantos could be in some trouble here.
Look at this shit.
All right. Trading deadline is 68 days away. The playoffs start in 92 days. Do not forget to submit your weekly pick'em. And eat shit.
Thank you for listening to the MLFF podcast.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.